Who would you say are your main influences in your singing career? And also, do you play any instruments?
Well, the word influence, I know I'm going to answer this differently now. I have listened to a lot of singers in my life, but the major influence has always been Roddy James Dio with Dickinson and a close Tate. I mean, all the metal dudes with all the power and the great melodies that they write. God, especially Ronnie, have always really moved me. Like I said, when I moved to California in the early 80s, I was a late bloomer and I heard him and it was just over. I was mesmerized by that sound and I wanted to try to recreate it for myself. And I do not play an instrument. I have a little Casio piano that I'm looking at here that I use to do vocal warm-ups sometimes. But no, I do not play an instrument other than my vocal cords.
So are there any shows for Chastain coming up in the year 2016 and beyond?
There are not, but I just got a show at the Metal Apocalypse in Chicago that Odin, the Ragan Art, that he does every year in Chicago. So he booked me for that. So I pulled David Harbour from the For Those Who Dare era of Chastain and Jim Dofka, who's a big presence on YouTube. So we're working out the set list and stuff, but Chastain will not tour. So I am looking to do whatever I can as Leather Leone.
So is David more or less just a studio artist and prefers to do studio work over going out and touring and stuff like that?
You know, I never remember him liking live stuff. Yeah, he's much more of a studio guy. He just wants to write and record, and I'm the total opposite. So even back in the day, it wasn't like it was ever his favorite thing to do. So
for the show in Chicago, what other information do you have about that at the moment?
Yeah, I just found out I'm going to play the second night. I'm really, really excited. But of course, you know, I'm doing stuff off the new Chastain, old Chastain, stuff off Shockwaves. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So is there somewhere online that we can let people know about the show coming up? Is there a Facebook page or something we can check out?
Yeah, God, just put in the Metal Apocalypse in Chicago or Ragan Art. I can never spell Ragan Art, but the Ragan Art Festival in Chicago, and all this stuff pops up for sure. I can send you the poster for it. I mean, it's pretty big. I mean, it's a small club. I went there a couple years ago and emceed it. It's a place called Reggie's. It's freaking incredible. They have an upstairs and a downstairs. And I would say it holds about 500 people, but the people there are just crazy. It's such a crazy show. I mean, I think he's been doing it for about 10 years now, so he really has a following. You know, he always gets bands. I know last year he had Nuclear Assault. I think this year he got Tigers of Pentang and Jag Panzer, and you know, those are kind of underground bands like Chastain that people just love, so I'm sure it's already sold out. Yeah. So
growing up as a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
You know, I wanted to be Donny Osmond's wife, to tell you the truth. I was just telling that to someone the other day. I did not sit around saying, oh my God, I want to be a rock singer. I did sing in my choir at church. I was raised Italian Catholic, and I had a really, really cool choir at church where we would sing like Led Zeppelin and Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles. So I did start doing musical theater. So I did kind of want to get into music that way and sing, but, you know, I never really sat around and thought about it that much. I was really, you know, I'm really a flighty person by nature, so I don't really plan things out very well. So I just go day by day, you know.
So growing up, did your parents support your music career and what you were doing?
Absolutely. They always did. My parents, during Chastain's heyday, since I'm from upstate New York, they would come out and see me like in Cincinnati, or they would come to New York. And my mother used to look at me and say, I don't understand what you're doing, but I'm very proud of you and support you doing it. They came to one show where, of course, you know, everything's fuck this and fuck that. And she was saying to me, my name's Catherine. They call me Kathy. So she was like, Kathy, can you tell me why everybody gets so excited when you say that F word? But yeah, they're extremely supportive of me. Yes, always have been, and they still are. Yeah.
So how did you first get in contact with David back in the day, and how did you meet up with Stian Kristofferson, the new guy in the band?
Stian Kristofferson. Yeah, but he's a new guy. Back in the day, I got in touch with Chastain through, when I first moved to California, I was in a band called Rude Girl. And back then, for people that don't know it, there were clubs, you could play every weekend. There was just such a scene, you know, it was the thrash days. It was before Metallica and Exodus, before everybody got signed, and we were just all in San Francisco playing these clubs. And back then, again, labels and management used to come to clubs to scout people. They used to look for talent. So I became friends with Mike Varney through Schaffner Records. He always really appreciated what I did. So when my Rude Girl band did not work out, I actually called him right away, and he said, well, I have this guy. Because, of course, David was in that guitar genre that, Varney used to work with. So Varney hooked us up, and I did demos. I did Mystery of Illusion, Winds of Change, and The Black Knight, I think, in a little 4-track in somebody's bedroom, and then I just started flying out to Cincinnati, yeah. David was always more of a song guy, and he always wanted to, have more of a band. I'm not quite sure why back in the day, it was pretty unusual to want a female front, but he just heard me and he wanted one, so, God bless him, yeah.
Well, back then, there really wasn't too many female-fronted bands that I can think of other than perhaps Doro. I'm sure there are others, but I can't think of them at the moment.
Yeah, well, there was Doro, there was myself, there was Betsy from Bitch. I think she was the first one that got signed to a major. Then there was Dawn Crosbie, who's now gone, Debbie Gunn from Sentinel Beast, and, there were a few of us.
So today's kind of music with the internet and everything, how do you think it has helped or hurt the music industry?
Well, it's kind of a catch-22, right? It's hard now to have control over your own music. People get it before you even put it out. Nobody has to buy it. There's all these sites. Chastain gets so upset. There's so many sites to download We Bleed Metal. But then again, it makes it easier. Like, I have a drummer from Norway, so we can, communicate via online and make music. And again, anybody can make music. I don't know how good that is. The door's wide open. It's harder to get noticed, but, it's certainly a free-for-all. I can remember, dude, in the 80s thinking that, going, motherfucker, there's so many bands. Now it's like nuts. People ask me what they should do. I'm like, I have no idea. I've been blessed enough with Chastain where I have a cult following. So there's kind of a certain amount of people that'll always listen to us. But, I don't know. It's really tough.
If you had to pick only 5 albums that you could only listen to for the rest of your life, what would they be? Well,
of course, they would be Heaven and Hell Sabbath, Holy Diver Sabbath. God, I really like Chastain always laughs at me. I love Crime of the Century by Supertramp, Houses of the Holy Led Zeppelin, and probably 2112 Rush. 2112 was one of the first songs I ever tried to sing in college. And I can remember going, whoa, looking out at the crowd going, this is really cool. Of course, I couldn't sing it to save my soul, but just trying it got me really excited.
So what was your first concert, and where and when was it?
My first concert was the Osmond Brothers in 1973. But my first real concert. My father would never let me go to these shows. He used to go, I know what they do there. But I can remember being probably a sophomore in high school, and he would allow. I used to go see REO Speedwagon, Foghat. I used to always get backstage and hang out with them and go, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And the wives would be going, no, you don't. But I can remember the first one that really, really got me, again, my sophomore year, was when I went to a Rochester War Memorial and I saw Blue Oyster Cult. And I got there really early. And I could just remember the sound of the drums and the reverb and that was the one that really, really got me. Oh, God, they were great. Of course, I think it was also on mescaline, so that could have had something to do with it.
So what else do you do when you have time off from singing, recording, and doing shows? Do you have a full or a part-time job to help out?
Well, unfortunately, I don't do music full-time, so I get into animal medicine. I'm a vet tech. I do pit bull rescue. I, deal with animals. Yeah, I've always been my 2 passions in life, so... And, pit bulls are a lot like metal. They're obviously the underdog. And so, but yeah, that's what I do. That's what I got into after Chastain. I got into animal medicine.
If you could play with any current person or band, who would it be and why?
Well, I would like to front Black Sabbath, of course. I was just telling someone, Iommi's not calling me. I'd love to sit in with somebody like Killswitch Engage. I love those guys. Or I'd love to do something with Phil Anselmo, who I tweet him all the time. Let's do a song. Yeah, that would be sick. Yeah, that's about it. I don't really listen to a lot of new music, but, of course, I hear it in the car, but I'm still of course, who wouldn't like to sing with Maiden? I still listen to a lot of that old 80s stuff, but Anselmo, give me a call.
Who would you like to play with that is no longer around or that is no longer a band?
Oh, well, I wish I could have done something. I wish I could have done something with Ronnie, for sure. I mean, I used to have conversations with him about it back in the day. I wish that my old friend Dawn Crosbie was still here from Détente and Fear of God. My God, I would have loved to do something with her. I mean, there's so much great talent that's gone. I mean, Dimebag, who wouldn't want to sit in a session with Dimebag?
So what are your favorite kind of movies?
Oh God, I'm sitting here right now. I love like all the Hobbit things. I love like all the stupid vampire movies. I actually just went to see some Seth Rogen. I love all his stupid films. Him and James Franco, Till the End, and he just did a Christmas one called The Night Before. I do. I love movies. I love chick flicks. I watch everything.
And what about books? What kind of books do you enjoy reading?
I actually do a lot of World War II. I read of a lot of that type of era. I like nonfiction. I like things that have actually happened. So again, I have this thing about the whole German, Pearl Harbor thing. I read a lot of war stuff. I read, Wiccan books. I read people that study the occult. I mean, I'm into, interesting things that spread your mind out a little bit. I certainly don't read love stories and Black Beauty. Let me put it to you that way. I love reading, like all these people that are putting out their autobiographies. The Iommi one, I just finished the Zeppelin one. God, I have to get in. Didn't Nikki Sixx just write a autobiography? Yeah, I love reading about all these people that made it, their overindulgences. I love reading that crap and how they survived all of it. Yeah, and it's funny, when I go to airports, I go to bookstores, and that's where they have all that rock star crap. So that's where I buy it all.
And what kind of food do you like, and what kind of drinks do you like drinking?
Oh my God, probably sushi. I can eat sushi till I puke. I actually became a vegetarian in the past year, but I still am doing sushi. Lots of sushi, lots of white wine, lots of, I'm a huge veggie person. I live on broccoli and kale, and yeah, I like to eat food. But it's good food, but I like to eat a lot of it, yeah.
So the new album, We Bleed Metal, can you give us a track-by-track rundown of the album, perhaps?
Well, people ask me that, and, Chastain wrote all of this. So I can tell you that I wrote Secrets. Secrets is my thing, and I wrote that about, again, we're talking about history and Ooga Booga stuff. I was watching all this information about the Illuminati one night on TV. I just ran into all these history things, and then I started reading about it. So Secrets is about that, and he sent me We Bleed Metal, and that's, of course, just about the masses and standing up for what you believe in. As Chastain said, he always writes about the same thing. It's the fall of man, how we turn against each other, against all the gods, is one of my, probably still my favorite. He wrote that just about, there's a joke about religion, how people can be foolish enough to believe that there's a man in the sky or wherever your man is, and that we shoot each other over it. So, he always writes about, Armageddon and stuff like that, the fall of society. And my thought was this. With Surrender to No One, we did a lot more collaboration, and it's not that I just thought that we could do more. So when it came to this record, I said, look, the Chastain that people know and love is they're your thoughts, and then I interpret them for you. So I just said, please just write a whole bunch of stuff and send it to me. Chastain is Chastain's writing, so I was really happy with everything that he did. Yeah, All Hail the King is actually one of his favorites. And actually, we did disagree on that one. I forgot even what he said. I think it's something about killing the masses to protect the small few. And I said, that's interesting, because when I sang that, my interpretation of it was, that we're kind of like, that's why they call it history. We're always hailing the king, always the male kings. And, what have they done? The world is falling apart. But again, Chastain writes about, the fall of society. I love the way he does it. That's why I liked, when he presented me with Mystery of Illusion, I said, it's on. I love it. And he's so eloquent about it, so.
Thanks again, Leather, for the interview. It was great, and I hope you have continued success, and we will keep playing you here on Castle Blakk Radio.
Great. I really, really appreciate it, Peter. Stay in touch with me, okay? Ciao. Bye-bye.